Everyone. So sorry for the delay. I welcome us to tonight's class, and I believe everybody can hear me right. So sorry for the delay, for the 4 or 5 minutes delay. So I'll be sharing my our first class and okay, the first class was introduction to data analytics. Then the second was on basic Microsoft Excel formulas, and I try to do some visuals. So today I will dwell more on Microsoft formulas and functions. So that's what I'm going to do more tonight. And next class, possibly, we'll be talking about. I will also be showing the use of pivot table, and if we have the time, we may do dashboard. So we may just build a dashboard using Microsoft Excel so that we can proceed to, or maybe like we can just use the whole next week as well to talk about Microsoft Excel, because there are a lot of things that you can do with Microsoft Excel. And for those that they don't have the updated version, you can use Google Spreadsheet for now. And I believe we can all access Google Spreadsheet. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can all see. Okay, let me share my screen. So this is my screen here, and this is the data set I will be working on. Okay, so I will just try to just talk about the Excel formulas and functions, some of the things you can achieve using Excel formulas and functions. So in this sheet, and what I will be doing now is after each class, I'll be sharing some of the sheets I use. So in case you want to also practice with it. So here I will be talking about how you can do like normal formula. Formula is just like okay, you want to plus, just like addition here. Let me just clear all this. I think I've done it before, but I have to clear it so that I can't really start from scratch and just through. So I will just be fast so that I can cover everything that I have for tonight so that we can proceed to pivot table. Like somebody was asking on the group that when he's working on a large data set, and the reason why when you are working on a larger data set and you are trying some stuff is not working, there's always a way to it. And if you want to make visuals of like 1,000 rows, so it's not going to appear very okay. It is not going to appear in a way that you will really see what you are looking for, because everything will be, there will be a lot of information on that visuals. There's a way you can limit those data by putting them into categories that will make it easier to see what is going on. So we'll be doing, and pivot table also is like a summary of you can use pivot table to do a summary of what is going on in your data, just to do some like using pivot table is to be kind of easier to see. If you are using visuals on pivot table, it will be easier to see the insight or the information that you are trying to give or tell. So I'm still going to get there. In the next class, I'll be talking about pivot table, or if I really have the time today, after doing some of the things I really want to show us, I may move there. And also we proceed by building a dashboard like during next week so that we can move to Power BI, then from Power BI to Python. So I will just start from the basics and start with formulas. For example, now in under formulas, you can do addition, you can do subtraction, you can do division, you can do multiplication, and all these things are applicable to large data sets. So if in a data set you are giving maybe like cost or selling price, let me say selling price, then you have like they gave you selling price. Okay, let me just say it by mouth. So you have selling price in a sheet, and you also have like price per unit, and you are expected to get revenue. So in that scenario, you have to you have to like multiply, or you have to okay, you have to multiply the cost price and selling price, or maybe like selling price per, I've forgotten the formula. But what I'm trying to say is that most of the time all these things works when you are working on a very big data set. So it's very important to know. So you know the rows, the column in which this particular data set, maybe like you want to calculate profit in your data set. That's just, at times the data set you are given may not be the data set that you are meant to analyze. As a professional data analyst, it may be that from that data set, that's where you are going to derive what, like the column that you are going to make a visuals of. Like just like I said now, you may need to calculate the profit, and a company is interested to know the profit, and the cost per price or selling price may not even be their, like it's not what they care about. But you can't get a profit without working with the cost price and the selling price. So most of the time you have to work with your cost price and selling price effectively for you to get the profit, or it may be revenue at times. So it's very very okay for you to know the formula and function. So I will just try to use it on a simple data set. So this is just the simple data set of a number that comprises, okay, from cell A2 to A9. So if you are doing addition, you just start with equals to A2, then plus, this is just like plus A. Okay, I need to be fast with this. Plus A4 plus A5 plus A6 plus A7 plus A8 plus A9. So this is like I'm trying to add this. If I press enter, it's going to give me the addition. And if I want to use function, I'll just use equals to equals here. So I'll just use equals to sum, then open bracket A2, then put the range A9. Then if I press enter, I got the same thing. So here I use the function, here I use the formula. So I also want to do, okay, so I just need to, okay, so I want to do, uh so I'll just make a simple one by using, okay, A2 minus A8. I can just use A8, then if I click on enter, I'm able to see the division, I'm able to see this subtraction. That is, okay, so I'm able to see the subtraction using this particular sign. So I'm also going to try on division. So I can use, okay, A2 divided by 2. So I'm able to get that. Then if you are also trying to multiply A2 multiply by maybe like 10, so then you get the answer. Oh, this does not show, this is not showing because I did not add equals to. So this is just like basic, and we'll try to use all this in a real data set, but it's just very okay for you to know what they are all about. Okay, I have some data here already too, but I need to change them. So I just need to, okay. So in this particular small data set, we have like, okay, expenses. This data set is all about expenses, right? So we have for fuel. This data set basically comprises of expenses, price, and date. And what is here is we have fuel, food, taxi, we have coffee, then we have like food, we have like, this is just like somebody is using this particular data set to manage what is like, there's a way as a data analyst you can use your skill to manage your day-to-day activities, and I think this is what is happening here. So this is expenses, right? That has fuel, food, taxi, coffee, and food. So basically, this is the routine of what the person is doing, and we have a date in this particular data set. So what we are meant to do here is, okay, I think I should do it in the upper part, so that I was thinking of doing that in the downside. I've forgotten that. So okay, let me just quickly do it. So 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 you can, for this particular data set, we have like fuel, we have food, we have taxi, we have coffee, we have, this is just like basic data set for somebody, like the way the person is spending some of his activities daily is just recording it, and you want to see, so you just want to manage his expenses, and as a data analyst you can use your skill to manage your expenses, but all these things are just like fundamental to a big data set. So by next week we'll be picking a very large data set, but you need to really understand some of the basic, especially those that don't really have Excel skill. So in this price, this person can actually calculate the total, like the total price that is spent on all his expenses, like the money he spent, and it may be like the person is collecting a certain amount of money, like like if the person is salary earner and you want to track what you spend money on, you want to track, okay, the highest things you spend money on, or it may even be for a company may want to track, okay, their total expense in a month and what they spend most of their money on, or uh what they should work on or adjust. So it may be in that way. So you can check the total price, like total amount of money they spend. And how can you do that? You just go to the cell that has the price, which is B. You start it, okay, equals to, you can just use sum instead of formula, you can just use function, and you can use B2, then put the range, and the range is ending by B10. So this is just like the range of the data set. So if I click on enter, it's going to give me 147. That is, this is their total expense in a month or a year, depending on this. And I believe this is just like a daily expense. Okay, it's even 2 days. So the total expense they have is 147. So they can also check, you can also check their average, the average price they spend, maybe like daily, or so, and the function does not change, equals to average, then open bracket, B2, then B10. So then you click on enter. So this is the average. You can also check for the geo mean, which is equals to, instead of mean is geo mean instead. So there's no function for mean, you can only use average to check for mean at times. So we also have geo mean, and what you need to put is like the range at which the number fall, which is okay, we have from B2 to B10. So if I click on enter, this is the geo mean. I can also check for my median. So I will do that by using median function, then open bracket B2, then B10. So this is the median. So if I click on enter now, I'm able to get the median for my data set, like the median for the price. I can also check the minimum, that is when they spend the minimum price, like the minimum expense, so daily or weekly, depending on how the data. But just because this data is short, I think we can only look into this data as daily expense. So we can check for the mean to see the minimum, which is equals to mean. Okay, mean should be min, then open bracket. Don't forget you have to know the range. Then the range is B2 to B10. So if I click on enter, the minimum expense is 2.5, which was spent on coffee. So I can also check for maximum, then B2, then B10. So the maximum expense was 48 naira. So they spend 48 naira, and it may be in dollar, it may be in naira, depending on the amount. So at times you may need to check for missing value from your data. So we can use blank, which is the function called blank equals to BAN K, then put the range to check for the blank in your row, in your column, or the entire sheet. So if you use blank equals to blank, then you put in the range, then you press enter. Okay, it's not showing. Why is not showing? Okay, it will be can't blank instead of blank, just blank alone. So it's going to be can't blank. The correct spelling is can't blank. If you want to check for missing value, you have to use can't blank. Can't blank. So it's going to count the numbers of blank cells or blank rows or blank column in your data set. So it's mostly used uh, for the is mostly used to check for missing value. So most of the time it's mostly used for, you can see that in this column we only have a single missing value. But if I try to extend it, maybe like I try to extend it to 18, so I can extend it to 18 here. So I can just put 18. So me adding 18 here, you can see now that it has already highlighted all of this. And if I try to check my count, okay, not in that. So I should have, okay, this is where I need to change. So my count blank here, I can increase it by putting 18. So if I had 18, so I want to do count blank here. So if I click on enter, it's going to it's going to show uh it's going to show 9 as my blank. So showing 9 is like it's showing like the numbers of blank. That is, this is best used for checking missing value, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's able to count the blank in my data set correctly. So most of the time we do use it to check for missing value. So that's all from here. So I'm going to move to data 3, and what I'm just going to do here, some of them I've done the stuff before. I thought maybe I've just cleaned them, but I'm not sure. So I'll just try to erase them so that I can just show them. So I'll be very fast. I'll be very fast. So this is the third data set here. So in this data set, we have like quantity and price per unit. So we have quantity, we have price per unit, and what we are trying to do is to get total sales. And all these things are applicable to big data sets, just like as I've been saying. So in some rows, it may even be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, depending on the row. So you may have quantity and you may have price per unit. And the column that you should focus on by getting your real insight is like through the total sales. And how can you get the total sales? You can getting the total sales, you may think that you just need to add them together, like adding the quantity and the price per unit. But getting the total sales, you need to multiply the two, like for the age, which is equals to age 2 multiply by I2. Then when you get your answer, you can easily drag it instead of repeating it for others. So dragging is also important. Once you get a single answer, you can easily drag it. So I will also be going to, this is the fourth data. So I just created all this data randomly. And what I care about is, okay, overall, this in this data set, we already have a quantity, we have price per unit, then we got our total sales by multiplication, like multiplying the quantity times price per unit. That's why we are able to get our total sales. But now I need, this may be like the requirement from the company you are working for, that is overall total sales, average sales, minimum sales, maximum sales, minimum sales, then overall item in the table. So you may want to know the overall item, you may not want to know the overall total sales, and you may want to know average sales. So depending on, and all these things, as I'm saying, they are just like basic to like a big data set. And when you are analyzing data, you must have some certain question you need to answer from your data set. Like I think that's the first thing, trying to write out a question that you need to use your data to answer. And it may be okay, the you want to know the overall total sales, even some of your visuals. You don't just do visuals just because you want to show people bar charts, pie charts, different kind of charts, but you must know exactly what you want to tell, like the story you want to tell with your data set, like what information you really want to pass across. So here I'm curious about showing people the overall total sales, then the average sales, the maximum sales, and the minimum sales, and the overall item in my table. And how can I get the overall total sales? So I can use sum equals to sum, then try to put the range. So try to put the range of C, which is the total sales, C2 to C11. So C11, then the overall total sales is 9,896. So I may need the average sales, just still the same average formula that we are making use of earlier. So 989.6. Then for maximum is still the same formula. It's just like applicable in everything. So C2 to C11. So that's okay. C2 max, I think there is a mistake here. So maximum sales is just like max, then put the range, then minimum as well. Minimum is this. So C2 then C11 as well. So if I press enter, then the overall item, I'm going to use count with that. so that count can just help me to count all my items. So count, then I'm going to highlight everything. So the data is starting from A2 then to C11. So that's my overall count, and my overall count is 30 because I use count then open, but this can't work only with number. But count A, we also have a function called count A. Count A only work with alphabet. So count A, let me type it out for people that have not seen that before. So this count A only work for text, that is alphabet, anything in text. But when you are using count alone, count only work with numbers. So let's take note of that. So the what we've been working with like since is just like we've been working with what we've been working with initially is just number. So and at times when you are working with a big data set, we always work with both number and text. So that's why I just try to create this as well. So in this we have text of, okay, we have a text which is in form of this description. We have white hanging. This is just like a text, right? For this description, we have another text which is, okay, country called United Kingdom, and you can see some of them as capital letter starting them and followed by small letter, while some are just full of capital letter. In this stock code, you can see that some of them they are not properly highlighted, so they just scatter somehow. So you need to make them to be in order. So that's just like part of your data analysis, just like data cleaning. So when you get a large data set, when you see that this thing is not properly aligned, there's a way you can make it align. And if you see that they are all capital letter or maybe like small letter capital letter, they are just mixing and they are not in a proper format. So you need to like put them in order, and what are the formulas and function you can use. So in this scenario that you have space here, you can see that this one started here and this has a space. So what you will do here is just to use trim function. Just write trim function, then you put in the range. You can, in this scenario, you can just work with the first one, which is B2. You can just trim that. After trimming it, you can actually highlight, you can just drag it down. So and you see that it has already trimmed them. So in this, in you can create another column, like another column for it if you don't want to do it separately. But in this stuff, I try to create another one underneath. But in some work, instead of you just creating, you can just create another column at the side instead of downward. And in this one, I will, here I use trim function to trim this text, like removing the extra space and all, to make it in a proper format. So in this description, I'm going to use a function called proper. So proper will help me to put the text that need to be in capital letter and the one that need to be in small letter. So if I use proper, I'll just put I can just work with the first one, which is C2, then just click enter. Then I can drag it downward. So now you can see that this one is far more better than this. The first one is completely cap lock, that is in capital letter. Why after using trim function, it changed it. So trim function is used to remove a white space and make it in order, but proper is used to make text to be in a proper way. That is, if it is more of capital letter or more small letter, there's a way it's going to put them in a proper format, and you can see that this one is more presentable than the first one. So also it works for country at where, so country too, you can see that some has capital and small letter. So putting it using a proper equals to proper, then putting that part. Okay, let me just let me just, but it's the same thing. I think I've done it here. That's why it's showing, but it's still the same procedure in getting that done. It's the same procedure. So it should just be like equals to proper, then you put in the, which is age 2. Then once you work with one, you can drag it to auto complete it for the rest. So you can drag it to do, then you can take the total sales because we have like price per unit here. So we have price per unit here. You can actually get the total sales, but I don't think that is difficult. We can try that on our hand by just, okay, by just putting, let me see if, okay, let me quickly do it. Let me do it. Number value. Let me just use number value, then open bracket D2, D2. So if I use D2 number value, now is already here. So I can just drag it downward instead of typing it again. And for unit sales, I can also use equals to number value just to make it work with that, which is F. Let me work with F2 and press enter. Okay, so it's actually showing another thing. Let me see what I can use here. So I think number value will not work in this scenario. So I need to change. So okay, is it decimal? Convert number to decimal. Okay, let me just use decimal for example. If it's going to work, so number. So it's already in decimal format, right? So let's just use it if it's going to work. Let me just put 2 and see if it's going to work. So number, then let me just use 2 comma this, and let's see. Okay, it's not working. So what I really want to do is by just making that value to come down here. So once the value is able to get here, we are just going to uh, get the data into this, but I don't know why it's not showing. So this is just like, then you can probably check for the total sales, and I can easily even calculate the total sales here. So if it's not working there, I can get my total sales here. Total sales, total sales, total sales, okay. So total sales will be equals to D2 multiplied by F F2. Then once I drag it downward, okay, so once I drag it downward, it's going to, so this is just like total sales, like by multiplying the unit price, then multiply by quantity, we are able to get our unit price. So these are just like applications of formulas and function. And okay, after doing that, We in the last class I tried to show, okay, the I tried to show something here just like related to this region, store ID, products and quantity, if you can still remember. So this data set here, we can also use formulas and function for it to get insight from this data. And this data, just like for example, before I start working on it, as a this data contain iPhone, contain region and contain the quantity. So as a data analyst, I what I thought would be expected of you is to probably calculate the quantity of the iPhone sold in each region, and they may really want to know how those products are being sold in each region, and to show how those products are making sense. Okay, maybe like is iPhone 11 that people are really buying, or iPhone 12, or what kind of region all these iPhone are being purchased, or what region can they sell more, or maybe like what iPhone can they stop producing. So this can be like some of the insights that you can even use this Excel formula and function to get. So I will first highlight everything and try to check if there is, so I can easily check some of the things that I feel. Okay, I can check for duplicate. Let me click on remove duplicate. If there is a duplicate, so I've highlighted everything. And if I click on OK, so checking the duplicate when you are working on a real data set is actually very important. So because there are some data sets that has some duplicate value that you need to eradicate from your data set. So the first thing is clicking on checking for duplicate. That it duplicate means repeated value before you start applying formulas and functions. So I've clicked on remove duplicate, and it's showing me that okay, this duplicate, this data does not has a duplicate, right? So I'll click on OK. Then I can also highlight my data set. I can also highlight it and create filter so that I can know the category that I can see the unique value of this data set. So I will just click on, let me go back to home, and I think this is filter. So I'm going to create filter for my data set. It has already been created. I'm going to click on this, and I can see here that in that region I only have Americas, APAC and EMA. These are the category that is present. So for iPhone, I can see that the category here is iPhone 11, 12, 6, 7 and 8. This is the category. And you can see for quantity here we only have number, and store ID we don't really have anything to do uh with the store ID because they are not really contributing to our insights. So this is what I want to do here. So let me see if I can probably increase my size for people to be able to see. So I'm trying to look for where I can increase. Okay, view. So I just want it to be more than that. Okay, let me just customize it to be 150. I hope it will not be too big. So just like I said, I've tried to make my bigger. So we've checked for the category in region. We have Americas, APAC, EMA. So we have for products, we have iPhone 11, 12, 6, 7, and we've done this before actually. So I just want to use formula and function on it. So I already know my I already know the category. So now I want to use formula and function on this data set. So I can just create a just like what pivot table will do. I just want to create a summary table. So the person asking on the group that he highlighted, instead of you highlighting it, you can bring out some minimal insight. Like you can bring some important details from that data, then make your visuals on that. I think it will be kind of easier to see what is going on. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to check for the unique value of uh I want to check the unique value in region. So I will just use equals to unique. So unique, then put the region there, which is B. So B2 to B. I can easily track it by, okay, I think what end this is B26. Okay, B36. B36. So if I click on enter, I can see that, okay, region as region, just because I use unique value of B. Okay, I should have start from B3 instead of B2. So B3 from here to the end of my region. So I'm trying to check the unique value there. So if I click on enter, I already saw the unique value, which is America, APAC, EMA. These are just like value that are being repeated over time in that column. So also from product, I also try to check the unique value in the product, and if this product is even more than this particular row, using the unique value will give me what I really want from the data. So unique, I'll just use B. Okay, D, I'm going to work with D2. Okay, D3 rather, sorry, it's starting from D3, so to D36. So and if I click on enter, is going to show me. So this is the unique value. You know, when we use the filter method, we are able to see that, okay, this is the only thing that exists in this data that just come in repeated value. They are just like, okay, iPhone 11, 12, 7, 8, and 6. So now I want to create a summary table of this so that we can easily work with it. So what I'm going to do after creating that, I'm going to transpose equals to transpose, then open bracket G6, then to G G8. So I want to transpose it, and you can see now me transposing G6 to G8 now has make my region to be in um is it vertical or horizontal? He has make it to be in horizontal, like horizontal. So now this will be our headers, and I'm going to just try to put the unique value here, like unique value of the product. So I will just use unique direct instead of working with that. So unique bracket D3, then to D36. So then I will just click on enter. So clicking on enter, I can easily clear this so that our work won't look rough. So now I already have, like, this is just like a summary. I'm creating a summary table already. That is America here, iPhone 11, 12, 7, 8, and 6 here already. Now, what I care about is getting the quantity sold of each product in each region, right? So how can I try to do that? So I can do that by using some function, just like, let me say sum, because I need to sum the total iPhone 11 sold in America. I have to sum the iPhone 12 sold in APAC and EMA. So I have to sum them individually, but this summation is not direct. The summation must be conditional. So I have to do it in a way that it will only add based on those region, and it won't add, because if I use some will only add everything at once. So now what I can use is sum ifs. So sum if, I will be able, it's just like putting if at the back. If is like a conditional statement, right? And sum is just like a Microsoft Excel function. But adding ifs, I will be able to add a condition to my summation. So I'll just use equals to sum ifs, then I'll start working on the the columns I want to do. My first priority here is the quantity, but I need to be using dollar sign to lock my column and my rows so that when I drag it, it won't mess it up. It's still going to work perfectly fine. So I'm going to use E, then dollar sign again. That is, I'm trying to lock that cell. Another dollar sign, then E, then so this has not you can see that this thing is suggesting something for me. It says sum if sum range, so I have to put the range, then sum range one criteria. So this I have to add where I want it to start, which is I want it to start from 3. So then I need to continue that by showing like this is I'm trying to create a range, but I'm trying to lock those cells and column. I'm using dollar sign to lock them so that when I drag it, it's not going to mess it up, like change it while dragging it. So the summation will be all, like it will take effect, and I want to sum it in a conditional way. So I'm starting from E3, but I'm putting dollar to lock it. So I will just put dollar again to 36, which is like it's starting from E3 to E36, but I'm trying to lock it. So then I have to also work with B. So dollar B. So I'm going to add colon. So B dollar, then I'm also starting from 3, then I will also add another B. So the B is ending by B36 because that's like the range that we are working with. So it has already highlighted this, right? So then I'm going to so now I've highlighted the quantity, the region, then I also need to work with the product, but I have to be specific with the product I'm working with. So I think I have issue here. Okay, I think I need to clear this. Okay, so that I can see okay, now I can see. So this is the table. Let me quickly do it. Sum ifs, then open bracket, dollar E3, then no. I don't know why this thing is changing, and I don't want it to change either. I don't know why it's just changing. So I won't mind now. So let me just, or probably I should make it bigger. So equals to sum ifs, then open bracket, dollar before B, then dollar after it, then you put 3. Okay. So we have to start with E, not B, because it's a quantity. So then after that we'll use dollar E36. So we have to use dollar after and before 36. So it has already highlighted that quantity column. So we now move to the region part, which is we'll start with dollar B3. Okay, dollar B dollar 3. It's like we are locking both rows and column. So then dollar B, we'll use dollar again, then 36. So then we need to work with the item that we want to work with, which is America. America will appear in age 6. Let me try to check that. So okay, I6 rather. So it will be I6, I dollar 6. So that's where America is located, because we want to sum iPhone 11 in America first. So then comma dollar sign, consider the products, because we are summing for the product, then D dollar, then 3. We are starting from 3, right? As just like the way we did for others. So then dollar D, okay, that's will be D dollar 36, because that's where it's ending. Then we also need to consider the iPhone 11, because that's our first summation, and dollar 11 is in age 7. So where is just age 7. So we just need to use the dollar sign age 7. So if I click on enter now, this is like total sum of iPhone 11 sold in America. Then if I try to drag it, so it's able to auto complete that for me, so that instead of me writing them again, and that's one of the purpose of the locking of the cell. So now the important details that we need from this big data set is just this. So this one is able to show us the quantity sold of iPhone 11 in America, in APAC, and so if I just want it to be more visuals, more eyes appealing, so I can just highlight everything. So instead of highlighting the normal big table, if I highlight the normal big table, it's not going to make sense. So I'm just going to insert, let me look for recommenders chart. So let me just click on this and see how it look. So now I can, oh, okay, let me just remove this. Let me highlight it again, and you just need insert, then click on recommend. Okay, let me click on insert, then I'll click on recommend chart. If I click on the first, okay, so this is just like chart. I'm trying to just, okay, let me just explain it without even moving it. I'm trying to move it away from here so that it will look more presentable. So you can see now that with our formula and function, we are able to derive some certain insight instead of me working with the big data set. Like if I just highlight the region or this, and it won't really make sense. Now this one will be able to tell us, like you can see here that you can easily try iPhone 11 sold in EMA, iPhone 11 sold in APAC, then iPhone 11 sold in America. Nobody can tell you here for you to know that, okay, oh, iPhone 11 sold in America as the largest. Like there is more iPhone 11 in America than EMA, and there is more buyers of iPhone 11 in EMA than APAC. So this is just like basic insight that you can see, and you can see iPhone 8 and 6, they are nowhere to be found, and you can also see that iPhone 7 as well does not really grow, so they can easily remove them from any product they are actually working on, and you can edit the chart bar. You can try to manipulate and do all sorts of things. So I can also try to let me try to use another chart. So let me click on insert. I think that's what I will do last for today. So let me just click on line chart. So if I'm using line chart, you can see some of my line charts here. So and this is the legend showing them. So for America, we have blue. You can see the growth of them. You can see for APAC. You just look for the one that best suit or explain what you are actually going about. So next class, I will be talking about pivot table, and if possible, we'll start building dashboard. So then you can move to another tools. So this is all from formula and function. So thanks for staying true. So bye for now. Oh, somebody is asking that it's not possible to filter, abi? To is not possible to filter all the products sold for it. It's actually possible to filter it, but when you are filtering it, okay, let me just go there before I end it. Okay, let me just delete this chart so that I can see. So it's possible to filter all the products, right? But when you are filtering it, okay, now let me just click on America alone. So me clicking on America alone, I'm able to see America alone. But now you still need to come here and still filter iPhone 11 alone. It will be kind of hard for you because you still have to, okay, now I'm able to filter iPhone. Okay, I'm able to filter the region to be America and then filter the product to be iPhone. So now you need to sum this, you need to calculate the summation. So if I use equals to sum now, to sum, then open bracket, I think, okay, I need to even specify because I can't put range in this scenario so that it won't add those that we've removed from, because we did not remove them. We just okay, I cannot even use sum. I can only use plus. So B3, oh, I'm even typing B3. E3 plus E4, abi? Oh, it's not, E4 is not even there. So I need to even check the number appropriately. So I need E6 plus E8 plus what is the next, which is E9, then plus E10, E9, E10. Then what is the last one? The last one is E26. So if I click on enter now, so we found a typo. Where is the typo? Where is the typo? Let me see. So equals to E. Okay. So the total here is 3,000. The total here is 3,000 for the total iPhone 11 sold in America. iPhone 11 sold in America is 3,007. So this is how you are going to do for all of them, and in which to me is stressful. So if I try to uncheck everything now, let me just check. Let me, so it's 3,000 something, abi? So if we go back, I'm going to go back to check iPhone 11 in America. You can see that iPhone 11 in America is 3,985. What we got exactly, that's what is there. So and you can see this gave us accurately without even disturbing ourselves. So you need to do that. You need to filter them one after the other. Then when you filter by region, you still also need to filter by product, each for iPhone 11, iPhone 12, iPhone 7, iPhone 8. So at times you may need to create extra sheet, like create each sheet for each result so that it won't. And while you are doing like that, you are not automating the process, you are not thinking like a data analyst. So it's only if you are just doing it. The only way that can still be simpler without using formula is using pivot table. If you use pivot table, so okay, the assignment I'm going to give is we are going to use this data. I will release this data. Then what we are going to do with this data is everybody will go and use pivot table with it. And this is actually what you are going to get using pivot table. And pivot table is kind of easier to get. So the assignment I'm going to give is using pivot table with this data instead of using formula and function. So that's where I'm going to stop for tonight. So thanks for staying through. So have a great night rest. Goodbye, everybody.